for joining me on Beyond the Blur. I'm Yashima. If this is your first time here, I am the host of Beyond the Blur, and I am a VIP coach. I'm legally blind due to diabetic retinopathy, and I help those with vision loss cope with the emotional side of our vision loss journey. And this week, I'm talking about identity loss. How after vision loss, our identity may shift, because of what we're going through. And you're like, wait a minute, Yashima, what is identity loss? Identity shift. I'm here. I'm still here. I know that's why it's called an identity shift, because vision loss. What happens during vision loss? We know what happens. We have to change a lot of things about who we are and what we do. I mean, we may have to change our job we work. We may not be able to do the job we work anymore. We may not be able to run the business we run anymore. We may not be able to drive anymore. Our independence is taken away in certain instances. Our lack of confidence, our autonomy, our freedom. There's so many things that happens during vision loss that causes us to have to, reevaluate and adapt to a new way of life. And sometimes in the midst of that, it causes you to change a little bit of who you are, because I don't know about you, but I didn't plan to be blind. I didn't plan to go blind. And this was not on my goal list at all. It was not on my bucket list. I don't know about you. So my life that I had planned was already set the way I wanted to be set. The goals that I had for my life, the future plans I'd had for my life, all those things were set. So I had a career. I'm a social worker. I've been doing this for 30 years. I had just gotten, my master's degree and decided I was going to go ahead and go in retirement doing therapy. And what happens? I lose so much of my vision that I have to shut my computer off. I had to sit back and think about the fact that maybe, just maybe, I can't do therapy anymore. How am I going to look at my computer? How am I going to drive? I couldn't even drive to the last part of my internship, while I was finishing my master's degree. So there are so many changes that are going on. And in the midst of that, it begins to change you, and it's not all negative. Of course, we want to think that way, right? Because you're like, Yashima, yes, it is negative. I lost my vision. I lost my sight. I can't drive. I can't be a real estate agent anymore. I can't do HVAC. I can't, go and drive to the job I used to do because I can't even see the computer. I can't use the phone. All those things are happening, and that's true. And we are becoming someone new. So I didn't know that vision loss could steal and would steal my identity. And the person that I always knew myself to be and who I thought I was, I wasn't her anymore. I mean, because think about what happens in society. In society, we're valued by and create our identity by things like the roles we carry in our families, the jobs we have, the careers we have, the fact that we're our parent, a wife, a daughter, who we are in the community, or we're a leader, we're leaders at church, so we identify ourselves, by all of these things that I mentioned. And then when vision loss happens, we can't do some of those things, or some of those roles and things that we value so much are altered. And it leaves us thinking and feeling lost, because what we thought we knew and what we thought was going to be all of a sudden has been shaken up. Our world has been turned upside down, and now it's not the same. It isn't. You are not the same person. Let's just be honest. That's the elephant in the room. You are not the same person in always, right? You're not the same person in the fact that you can't drive anymore. You may need to figure out how to get to places you need to get. You may need to depend on people more and have them help you with things. You may have to do a different career, different job, or learn how to do it differently. All of these things are happening, but who you are hasn't changed. Your personality, your value system, your belief systems, what makes you, your personality hasn't changed. That part of you is still there. It's just that in the midst of going through all of what you've been going through, you've forgotten about her or him. You feel like that's a loss, and it's not completely lost, right? And, and I'm going to leave a couple of resources down below in my video to help you cope with the identity shift. What does that look like? And first, in the midst of that, what's happening is a grief. When we're going through this identity shift, we're dealing with grief. And so we're so focused on that, and we're so focused on, you know, walking with our white king, learning how to adapt and adjust to our home, all of these things. And in the midst of that, there's some things happening inside of you, and no one's thinking about that. This identity shift. You're like, who am I going to be now? Can people still depend on me? Am I still a valuable leader in my home, in my community, at my church, at my job? What does that look like for me? Well, I'm here to tell you that it's still possible. Okay. You are not lost in the woods. Maybe you don't know what to do and how to figure it all out right now, but guess what? You are becoming someone different slightly, but even in some instances, someone better. Someone who's stronger, someone who has more resilience, someone who can connect and tap in ways you haven't been able to before. And quiet as kept, some of you, maybe you weren't doing the best before this happened. And maybe this is going to cause you to make some changes, some much needed changes in your life that really wouldn't have been required to do if you hadn't lost your vision. So I know it's a different kind of perspective of looking at it, but it's the truth, if we're being honest here. So I want you to do 3 things. I need you to acknowledge where you are today. Acknowledging what situation what you feel like. I feel lost. Speak it out loud and be truthful with yourself. I feel lost. I don't know who I am. I look in the mirror, I don't recognize myself anymore. Be honest with that. Number 2, I want you to start accepting where you are today, accepting the fact that you can't go back and grab him or her, the person you used to be. That person no longer really truly exists because you have had to evolve and develop and grow into someone else who needs to stand in these shoes today and walk through this vision loss journey. Okay. So you need to begin. You can't accept everything right now because maybe you're not ready, but I need you to begin to accept it a little bit, at least where you are right now today. And the third thing I need you to do is start taking action. You don't have to stay stuck. Yes, you are not the person you used to be. Maybe you can't do all the same things you used to do the way you used to do them, but what are you going to do about it? What action are you going to take? You need to take steps in order to become who you really want to be. Imagine that, being able to, right now, in the midst of all this, decide, create, reevaluate, evolve into who you want to be, the person you want to be. And you may say, well, Shima, I like who I was before. Guess what? You still have parts of him or her, but guess what? You're going to have to be somebody else different anyway. So you might as well go ahead and start planning it your way and start deciding on who you want to be. When you look in the mirror, when you are able to say, who am I? What does she look like? What does he look like? And so I hope that was helpful for you today. And if it was, go ahead and click the like button and subscribe to my channel so you can hear more things like this. And each week I'm doing a whole series on I didn't know vision loss. I didn't know vision loss would steal my freedom. Let's talk about it. And I'll see you back here next week. And don't forget to check out the resources I left for you, some free resources, and also a new course that I'm doing. It's called the Vision Loss Starter Course. And it's all about helping those who are newly diagnosed and who are new to the vision loss journey gain some control back and give you some first steps on how to get back to who you are. Get back to living the life you want to live and the freedom you want to live.